Hi guys, my name's Whitney. I'm one half of the vlogging and blogging duo Wegan. And
oh, you're still looking at me, baby. You can do it.
I know. I've been asked for a few years now if I would record my coming out story. So this is it. Get ready, get some popcorn, relax.
It's a good story.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Don't worry, baby. Just keep going. It's fine. Do you want to eat alcohol?
No. I'm really nervous. Here it is. I present to you my coming out story. You may not be able to tell from my accent, but I'm actually from Kentucky. I was born in Tennessee, but I mostly grew up in Kentucky from the age of 5 to 17. So this is my coming out story as a lesbian who came out in the South, Kentucky to be exact. Coming out is never easy no matter where you're from. It's always a difficult thing that people should do, you know, when they're obviously ready. I came out when I was 15. However, I always knew that I was gay, pretty much since I was in the womb. But I always knew that the area that I was from, that it wasn't okay to be gay. Just by my surroundings, the way I heard people talk about gay people. I'd be watching a TV show or a movie, there would be a gay character, my friends would make comments, just like, oh my god, I can't believe they're gay, and it was such a taboo thing. So I never felt like I could be who I was. And I knew from a young age that I would never be able to become the person I was meant to be in Kentucky. It never was going to happen. However, if it wasn't for me growing up in Kentucky and experiencing the things I'm getting ready to tell you, I don't think I would be who I am today. So I do owe it that. I mean, when I was little, I used to have these feelings towards girls and I never knew what they were. I mean, when I was like 6 and 7 years old, I would have substitute teachers who I just thought were beautiful. And in my mind, I knew that it was an unnatural feeling to have, even though it wasn't. It was perceived to be unnatural. And I used to refer to them as thinking problems. I would say, Mommy, I'm having thinking problems again. I don't know what it is. And to be fair, I don't even remember what she told me at that point of what to do, but I remember noticing from a young age that it was wrong.
So baby, how did you come out? What happened?
Well, as I said, I properly came out at 15. I came out to my very best friend Seth, I would say around the age of 14. We've pretty much grown up together since we were 5. I confide everything in him, so he always knew. However, when I was 15 is when I came out properly to my family. It's a funny story actually, just how I actually came out to my mom. She thought that, what was it? We had a school dance or a prom or something like that coming up. And my mom kept being like, oh, Whitney, you need to go with this, I won't say his name, but this boy I was friends with at this particular time. She was like, yeah, you need to go with him. You really like him, don't you? You know, I can tell you guys are going to be a cute couple. And I said, Mom, no, he's actually like gay. Well, he's not straight. And she's like, at that moment, she looked at me and she said, are you like that? And I said, yes, I am. And it was the worst feeling in the world. The look of disappointment in her eyes. I mean, I'm her only daughter and I'm a lesbian. It was awful, really. Basically went silent for about 5 minutes and it was the loudest silence ever. She was just like devastated and she thought it was a phase. She felt like she failed as a parent, essentially. Even though she absolutely didn't. She did not handle it very well. She, you know, called me names. She basically said it was wrong. And my mom and I are very close. She was my best friend and she still is. But I was just devastated.
So how did your friends end up finding
My friends did not react very well, to be fair, I'll be honest. A friend at the time kind of outed me to them. I was devastated, I don't know why I did it. And they acted very bad. I used to go to church every Sunday. So they all did turn up to church, but none of them sat next to me because they thought I was a lesbian. I had not confirmed it at this time, actually. It's funny, just as I came out to my family, I was pretty much outed the next day and I wasn't ready to tell my friends yet. So this actually mortified me. I felt so alone that my friends would even act like that. And then the whole school kind of found out about it. I mean, going to an American high school is somewhat stereotypically true. Rumors started to spread when this boy outed me that I was a lesbian and in love with this one girl. And It was mortifying, and to be fair, I turned around and said, actually, he's gay. And they all thought I was lying. But truth be told, I really was gay, and I was having to deny it at that point. I said, no, I'm not. And I felt so disappointed in myself for having to deny it at that point, because I knew it was wrong. But just the pressures of the people that were around me, family, friends, I just couldn't really handle it. I knew that, I just had to get out of there. Before I could leave, I had to learn how to deal with it. You know, you can't just pick up and run from your problems. If it weren't for me having to deal with how bad it actually was, I don't think I would be as strong as I am today. And during that time, there was this whole thing going around of, you know, man plus woman equals marriage. People were putting the signs in their yards to kind of state how they felt towards the matter. And I remember my cousin and I, we got in our car, we drove around the whole neighborhood, took the signs out of people's yards, put it in our car. By the end of it, they were all stacked up and there was mud everywhere. So I did obviously have some support from my cousin. My aunt was really supportive in the beginning as well. My dad, he wasn't as vocal with my mom, but I knew he was quite disappointed as well. And my very best friends pretty much wanted to disown me, and they thought I was going to hell. When I was in high school, as you do, everybody has like their first love. I had my first love. And it was definitely a secret. Her feelings, I think, were slightly mutual, maybe not on the same level as mine, but there was definitely something there for a few years, pretty much all through high school. We never talked about it. I certainly never said anything to her, and she never said anything to me. And then it just kind of fizzled out when I moved away. But I did confide in someone the way that I did feel about this girl, and he used that to out me to my friends. I remember having a password that was this person's initials, and he knew the password. And if I wouldn't have changed it that night, just by a feeling of I need to change this password, this is before I knew what was coming. So he tried to prove to them that I was a lesbian by showing them the password that had this person's initials in it, and it didn't work. Thank God. That was a divine intervention for me to change it, because I was not ready to handle what could have come out of that situation, being out and people knowing that. Still to this day, I wish I would have, you know, told her how I felt, but I never did. And at that point, I thought I would never love again, I would never find anyone. And looking back, it was so silly at that time when I flashed back to the whole thing. But it really gave me clarity that I was never going to find the person I wanted in Kentucky. I think it gave me the push to really make a change in my life and move forward. So I do thank you for that. Off I went to Hawaii. It was really bad looking back. I mean, I was in the South, I was in a very Christian town. Everyone thought I was going to hell that found out. I've also support from my family. My friends pretty much ditched me. The person that I was in love with at the time had no idea, and I could never talk about anything with this person, so I couldn't really confide in them either. The one person I confided in outed me. However, I did have my best friend Seth, and my aunt and my cousin were really good at that time as well, that must be said. But it was still very, very tough because I was so young looking back. I mean, 15. When the shit hit the fan, it hit the fan. You know, sure enough, once I got okay with myself and I actually said pretty much like, yeah, this is who I am, I didn't really care anymore. And once I got comfortable with myself, people kind of got comfortable around me, if that makes sense. I was able to leave Kentucky on a good note. By that time, my mom had, you know, accepted it. She still was thinking it was a phase. I ended up going to college in Hawaii, as far away from Kentucky as possible. The University of Hawaii. I was there for 6 years. It was amazing. During that time I studied abroad twice. Went to France and I went to England. And when I went to England I met my beautiful wife Megan. We did long distance for 4 years between Hawaii and the UK, as you guys, most of you know. So I guess you kind of have to remember, yeah, times are tough sometimes, but they really give you the strength to kind of go on, and they give you your character. And my mom has done a complete 180. She's amazing. She's so supportive. She loves Megan like her own daughter. She treats Megan like her own daughter. My friends, well, from high school, really, like one good friend.
How do you think people are now towards gay people in Kentucky?
I think Kentucky's definitely come a long way since I lived there. I'm a Christian and I'm gay, and I'm very proud to say that. That's really great to see. There's even a pastor there I communicate with on Facebook who's very supportive. He's really a wonderful example of a Christian leader. When I lived in Kentucky, it has got better in some situations. An example of this is a couple of years ago, I took Megan to Corbin, Kentucky for the very first time. we went into, it was some little store that sold like Kentucky merchandise. Like, it was very nice. She was very chatty. You know, she was talking to me and Megan. She asked us what church we went to, you know, how long we were visiting, and this and that. So I knew she was like a woman with Christian values. She then asked us if we were married, and we were like, oh, yeah, well, we're married. Yeah, we're married. That's kind of how I said it, but it didn't really click. So she was like, 5 seconds later, she said, so you're married to Englishmen, both of you? And we were like, get me out of here. I just didn't know what to say. I thought instantly she was going to judge us. No doubt.
I started to leave.
Megan started to leave. She was like, see ya, I can't do this. But my cousin, who's Katie, who just doesn't really care what anyone thinks, she said, they're married to each other. And she goes, oh.
And slammed
her hands down on the counter. Like, oh no, Megan. But she threw her hands up in the air then and said, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And she ran out and gave us a massive hug. I couldn't believe it. I felt amazing. Like, that was wonderful. That was the best reaction I've ever had in Kentucky. And it just goes to show that I was being prejudiced towards Kentucky and the people from the South, when in turn they're not all like that. So it just takes a few people a lot of times to really kind of ruin it for everyone. Like, in recent news, Kim Davis. Come on, what are you doing? If I was the couple that she refused to grant a marriage license to, I would be devastated. I feel so bad for that couple and many others that couldn't get married from where they're from. You know, America is taking so many steps forward with gay rights in light of Obama recently passing, you know, gay marriage for the United States. Amazing! But in turn, that's also going to bring out the extremities in people, especially the Christian community, to be so hateful and so against just someone's rights as a human being. It's really sad to see that this is still existing in America, and it's embarrassing that it's happening in Kentucky where I'm from. I really hope that Kim Davis, that she sees the light and the damage that she's actually done. What she's doing is not in the name of God or Christianity, it's just her just being a bully. What is wrong with you, woman? No, everyone in Kentucky is like that. She's just giving Kentucky the worst thing possible. Personally, you know, on the flip side of that, I've also experienced, when gay marriage obviously became legal, everyone was changing their Facebook profile pics to the rainbows. It was amazing, I had rainbows everywhere. But some people in the South, and some good friends of mine, put a cross instead. Now, because of everything that's happened, my best friend that I had since I was, you know, in middle school, she basically like disowned me. She was one of the ones that did in high school, who always had a problem with me being gay, but we always still had a really good friendship, and I know that sounds weird. You know, just recently she's become very extreme Christian to the point she did not accept my lifestyle. She wanted me to repent my sins, and that really, really hurt. So I finally decided, you know what, I don't need this in my life anymore. Enough is enough. Things are moving forward, but we're not entirely there yet. With people like Vicky Beeching, amazing Christian singer who came out as a lesbian, people like her coming out of the closet and showing the world that you can be Christian and gay, that's all it takes. And I want to send a message to anyone out there who is struggling with their sexuality in the South. I know how you feel firsthand. It's scary, it's difficult. It's scary for anyone anywhere, but especially if you're in the South and you're constantly around the negativity and people telling you you're going to hell and it's a sin and this and that. It's not very comforting. You feel like you have nowhere to turn. But please know, it does get better. I know it sounds cliche, but it gets so much better. You just have to know in your mind, right, I just have to get through this. You don't necessarily have to leave the state, but people will come around, relationships will mend, and the people that really care will stick around, and the people that don't, they're not worth having. And once they're out, it just leaves space to have more great people come in your life. Coming out in Kentucky was very difficult. It was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my life. However, it gets so much better. Take it from experience. I ended up being able to get out of Kentucky to study, which led on to, I now actually live in England. I live in Windsor, near the castle, with my amazingly beautiful wife, who is everything I ever wanted and more. She's over there. Here she is. She's amazing.
Hello.
Love you. I couldn't be happier with my life. We have great jobs. We have a little cat called Kisses. We have a nice home. Friends. Both of our families support us. We have a wonderful support system, and we're happy. And rewinding back 10 years ago, I never saw this happening in my wildest dreams, ever. I was just a southern girl from Kentucky who had a dream and wanted to get out, and did it.
Proud of you.
Thank you.
I'll leave you to it now.
Leave me to it. Just, you never know what's around the corner, and you never know where you're going to be in 10 years. Stay strong. It will only help you in the future, and it will shape who you are, and it will build your character up so much. And be true to who you are, and don't change for anyone. Always be you. That was my coming out story. Sorry if, you know, I wasn't making proper sentences, and my eyes were going mental, and my voice was shaking. It's very difficult for me to do, but I do want to say that I've made peace with Kentucky, and I am still proud to be from Kentucky because it made me who I am. I appreciate all of your support. I love you, and if you ever need to reach me, you can find me on What Wegan Did Next. Bye!
You did?
If I could tell my 15-year-old self anything, it would basically be just hang in there. It does get better. You really don't know what's ahead of you in the next 10 years. It's actually going to be amazing. Just as bad as it was, it's going to be equally as good. And I was lucky enough to meet this one. She's amazing. If I could tell my 15-year-old self anything, it'd be like, you're going to have the oddest wife one day who has the most amazing accent. Speak.
Hello, fancy a cup of tea?
No, don't say that.
I'm kidding. I'm so shiny, help!
Love you. Okay,
I love you, proud of you.
Thank you. I think it's horrible.
My little southern belle.